Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Ron Doyle on Maryland's Eastern Shore. I'm a licensed master electrician. I want to talk about grounding today. There's three primary methods of installing grounding rods. Our soil conditions on Maryland's Eastern Shore are sand, clay, and black dirt. Depending on the area that you're in, you can get different results. The main thing that a lot of people, one of the main things that people do on grounding is they're using the galvanized grounding rods or the copper cladium grounding rods. These are half-inch in diameter. I've got two of them. And the requirements for the code upped from 2017. It used to be one grounding rod per residence. Now it's two grounding rods unless you can prove there's 25 ohms or less resistance on one grounding rod that you install. So unless you have the meter to prove that it's 25 ohms or less, you have to install two ground rods, and that meter is very, very costly. I choose to do two grounding rods. Minimum requirement to the electric code is a minimum of 6 foot distance from the first grounding rod and the second grounding rod. And I use Maryland Electrical Inspections. He recommends two grounding rods be twice the distance apart from here to here, which is a total of 16 feet. That's the way the crow flies. So these two grounding rods are 16 feet apart. They're half-inch diameter. They're 8 foot long. And I'm going to show you three different methods of installing these grounding rods. This soil appears to be sand and clay. We'll know a little bit more when we start pounding these things in. But three different methods are the old method, tried and true, is the hammer. And you can beat yourself to death with this. You hammer these grounding rods on the very ends. And what'll happen? Let me get you an acorn nut. These are 5/8. These work for half-inch and 5/8 round grounding rods. What'll happen if you use the hammer method is that you will beat the end of this. They've got a chamfer on it. You'll beat the end of this so flat, and you'll mushroom it out to where this acorn nut won't fit on this grounding rod anymore. One thing the inspectors look for is if this grounding rod has been cut in any fashion. You're not allowed to cut or grind this. You have to leave the factory end on it, and if they see you've cut this rod off, they may fail it during inspection. And the main reason they'll fail it is years ago when people had to do grounding on a house, when grounding was more of an issue, they were taking these grounding rods and they were cutting an 8 foot grounding rod in half, making it 4 foot. So they were getting twice as many jobs done with one grounding rod, which is not to code. It's shorting the customer because they're not getting an 8 foot ground rod in the ground. And inspectors look for that. So I try not to use the hammer method because you need these to fit. So there's two other methods that you could use, and this is a Buchanan. And the label's worn off. There's part of the name. This is a Buchanan ground pounder. Basically, it's very heavy. This is a solid block of steel. The ground rod, let's see if I can just smash my fingers. The ground rod goes in that hole. This is rubber surrounding it. And then you see that nut on the side. That's to tighten it against the ground rod. And basically, you insert it over the ground rod and drive it down, as so. This is good. It's pretty fast and proficient, especially in hard ground. The other method I prefer is using a SDS Plus cordless rotary hammer with a ground rod driver attachment. Now, this is a Milwaukee brand. The Milwaukee name is not on it. It was bought through Home Depot. It'll do half-inch and 5/8 ground rods. You can see it's about 3 inch in depth. Now, this particular hammer drill is the DeWalt 2060 volt version. You can use 20 volt batteries or 60 volt batteries on this. And this is an SDS Plus. There's numerous style of rotary hammers, and you can get this in numerous configurations online. Mostly online orders. You can't find these in the store. This is SDS Plus. They have SDS Max, SDS Plus. They have Heckshank, and Hilti. Hilti makes their own exclusive. I prefer the SDS Plus because it's most readily available. Now, this particular drill combination, putting these ground rods in, this works if it's moderately. Let's get you a model number here. It is a DCH273, and it's a 1 inch. And it does the drill only, hammer drill, or just the hammer only. So what you're going to do is you're going to put this in the, push this button. There's a button right here. Push this, turn it to hammer only. And you got to make sure if you get a hammer drill, it's got this hammer only feature. You don't want to spin this onto the ground rod. So the first thing we're done, we've combed a hole. We're off from the foundation, and the foundation is right at the edge of that, which you're like 6 inches on this particular ground rod. One thing you have to look for, and I got an approximate where the meter socket's going to be, somewhere in here. I can't mount the meter socket right yet because the homeowner has not made his final decisions on his heat and air equipment, and I don't know if we're going with a 200 meter socket or a 320. I got to get load calculations. But got the ground rod, got the hole coned out, and that's in case if you had to add water for hard ground to pound this ground rod in. But right now we're going to try pushing this in by hand as far as we can go, and then I'm going to put the SDS Plus rotary hammer and ground rod pounder attachment onto this ground rod. I'm going to put it in the hole for you. Let me get you set up on this high class stand here. All right. A little crooked. Let's see how far we can put this thing down. That's it. We'll take a little water. We'll pour right around the ground rod. Just gonna get a little loop in the end. Get your rotary hammer. Put it in hammer mode. Alright, that's one way of doing it. Didn't take too long. The ground's pretty soft. Now I'm going to give you the alternative method of doing this. We are spaced 16 feet apart, it's twice the length of the rod. And we're going to use the Buchanan ground rod pounder on this one. This ground rod is about 10 inches off the footer. They kind of pour the wide footer in this area. That's it. Get some water. Help with the insulation. Pour some water in there. You don't have to tighten this bolt up, but you can. Makes for a more direct impact. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a workout, especially if it's hard ground. Looking at the results of these ground rod installs, that didn't smash the head over, so you can get it on and off with no problem. A little bit out of breath. This, you can get on and off. Unlike using a hammer, you can hit that and mushroom the head. That makes a problem. These two methods seem to be the best. One to give you your redneck exercise, and that option is easier. Stay tuned, we'll get the ground hooked up. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, got the hole dug around the perimeter. It's approximately 8 inches deep. It's right down to the edge of the footer. Now, keep in mind this is where the meter socket's going, right in here. And the inlet for the direct burial meter socket, that's what this is going to be, is going to come in on this left-hand side. And we are crossing this path from where the main keys come in and enter this meter socket. We want to make sure that ground wire is nice and tight to this exterior wall, and get enough dirt on it so that it's not going to be an issue, but tight so that the trencher or shovel is not going to catch it. And what we're using is a number 6 bare copper, number 6 solid. Right now we're in Wacomico County. Right now the homeowner hasn't given me enough information to know if this is a 200 amp meter socket or if it is a 320 amp meter socket. So what we're going to do is this particular county, number 6 bare copper is good for any residential service. The only county I know of that I wire houses in is Worcester County, and they require a number 4 bare copper. So this isn't so bad. This is a little cheaper on the budget. But what we're going to do is we're going to find our hole where it penetrates the wall. I've already drilled the hole. It's coming through right here. We're going to push that up in the wall. We're going to go inside. Make sure that we've got enough wire hanging out. This house is approximately a 2,400 square foot house. We got a ground wire coming up. Now, our hole for penetration for electric is going to come through here. Our panel is going to be somewhere in this vicinity. And I'm going to pull this copper wire up. Height of our panel, 72. That's off a finished concrete floor. And I usually enter the bare copper on the left side of the panel. So that's actually a significant amount of wire to go pretty much anywhere in that panel I want to do. We're going to keep it there. Concrete guys poured this just yesterday. So I'll set you up on this high class camera stand on a low class budget. everything's right pretty in here. Oh my goodness, we got a porta-john right out front, and they couldn't use it. That's lazy. We get this rolled out. Get you focused in on what I'm doing here. Going to the other ground rod. Get your side cutters. For lines and pliers. Got it tucked up in that corner. Cut that off. We're done with that. We're going to take our acorn clamps. Now we've got a loop at that end, so we're going to take both of these 1/2 inch and 5/8 acorn clamps. They'll do either size. We're going to slide one past the ground rod we're doing. We're going to slide one on the ground rod we're doing. Like it came to the doctor's office. We put it on there. Slide it down. We're going to put this one on here. Now, looking at this, make sure I tell you about this. Your ground wire goes in this upper corner. The ground rod goes here. Don't get that backwards. The inspector will make you fix it. Now, I've got these hammered in just below grade to evade on being struck by the other trees. This particular wall is going to hold the condensing unit for the upstairs. It's going to hold the condensing unit for the downstairs, and possibly a future mini split will go on this wall. So what we're going to do, keep this ground rod down, push it in the hole, all the way down as far as you can get it, put dirt on it. And keep that springing up on me. And if you don't cover this up, the price of copper's going up. I've seen people steal this out of the ground after you install it, because that copper right now is like gold in price, and you don't want it to disappear, especially if you need it. And I'm the one that paid for it. Let me get you refocused on this a bit. So we're a little further away. Let's keep it in the hole. Now that I've stepped in the community bathroom, my dog is going to be sniffing my boots all night long. Possibly doing his business on them, which I'm trying to mark his territory. So, we got that covered. Get you re-zoomed on this. Oh, well, I got to show you an honest mistake. I never sent that ground rod acorn nut over from there to there. Don't forget that step. Let's still pause this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, now we've got the grounding in and we've got it covered up. We're going to be installing a Arlington Intersystems bonding termination, and this is what we call, electricians call, a bridge block. You need a few things to install it. This is number 2 Phillips to take the front cover off. These can be found at supply houses. This screw does not have a keeper on it. You will lose it. Put that to the side. All these screws are number 3 Phillips, especially this one on the end. So I'm going to loosen this one up, and I'm going to snug these so they don't fall out on vibration with the rotary hammer, such as so. And what we're going to do, we're going to install this with 1/4 inch plastic anchors, and these appear to be number 10 1 1/4 inch screw. These are sold together as a kit. You can buy some Lowe's, Home Depot, and your supply houses. They're good for brick. Brick is real soft. So, and it usually the kit comes with a drill bit, 1/4 inch. You get a new 1/4 inch drill bit with them, like that for rotary hammer, straight shank, no SDS. And what I'm going to do is undersize this first hole. Let's get to this acorn nut first before we get too far ahead of ourselves. So I'm going to push this ground wire down in here. Try to keep it tight to the building if you can, and make sure that you put the right side of the clamp onto it. And I'm going to try to set these low grade. We've got our first one already connected. We're going to snug this up. And our cut in, don't over tighten these. You will bust these acorn nuts, grounding nuts. You want your, like I said before, you want your ground right here where my finger's at, and you want your ground wire in that point. Don't tighten them too tight. So what we're going to do is curl this back down. We're going to straighten the line out. You can use a level on this if you choose to. I'm usually pretty good with eyesight, and I'll usually pick a mortar line up in this wall. This wall's got some dust on it, dirt on it. You straighten this out. Now, seeing this right here, vinyl siding guys will likely start their starter strip here, and their siding usually hangs down from the top course an 1.5 inches. And we want to make sure that our bridge block is located on this side of the meter socket, because your riser, your 3-inch PVC conduit is going to come up in here for your feeds, and you don't want this behind your 3-inch conduit pipe. Alright, had a little disturbance in my video shooting. Let's resume. I've got the ground rod installed in the ground. Got the number 6 bare copper bent over. We've got the Arlington Inner Systems bond block. Electricians call it a bridge block. And what we're going to try to do, vinyl siding guys, we'll go 1.5 inches down past this top course of the brick, and we want to make sure that this is down lower, preferably on one solid brick, not straddling 2 bricks like that, one solid brick. And what I'm going to do is tighten this up, give it a little snug with a number 3, centering it onto the brick, just a little snug. And we want to make sure that this space right here is open for our conduit feeder to come up and feed the bottom of the meter socket. So we want to look at this and make sure that this is straight, make sure it is centered. Okay, we have a little bit of slack, so we can work this bottom out. We want to take a smaller drill bit than a 1/4 inch to start with these 1/4 inch anchors, and the 3/16 makes our old used one that I got. We're going to put our drill in hammer drill mode, put it in speed 3 for high, and put our safety glasses on. We're going to center this on this wall, making sure that it looks nice and straight, and we're far enough down. This is the inner system bonding for the other utilities such as Comcast, satellite TV, telephone if they choose to get that. This is the electrical requirement now. It's been in effect for a couple code cycles. So what I'm going to do is get this hole started. Now this hole, 3/16 hole, is bigger than the hole in the bridge block. Now I'm going to take a screwdriver. I'm going to tap that out. And without installing the anchor, we're going to put the screw in to this hole. And what that's going to do is hold this center, as this vibrates so much that it's going to make your hole waller off, and these 2 holes are going to line up. So we're going to use this as a centering pin. Make sure this is level. I'm going by eyesight. Alright, take that drill bit out. Don't touch that one. She's a little warm. She'll burn your fingers. I'm going to put our 1/4 inch drill bit in. We're going to pull this out, pull this aside, and you see from the vibration, that screw actually got loose. So we're going to drill this out to 1/4 inch. Drill that one out to 1/4 inch. I'm going to take our plastic anchors. We're going to put one in there, and in here. We're going to tap these in with a screwdriver. We'll take our screws. They come with the in the kit. It's 1/4 inch plastic anchor kit. We're going to get our screws started. Both of these holes. Now see the holes, if you notice, the holes line up perfectly. If you don't use this block as your measuring device, the vibration from the rotary hammer will mess your measurement up. And these screws, like I said, these screws are number 3. Phillips head. We're going to snug those up just a little bit. And on this end one, we're going to tighten it. So your vinyl siding lays flat. We're going to tap that flat to the wall. We're going to tap it here, flat to the wall, and make sure our line is still straight. There's a little adjustment. Okay. I've got these. These are like a RG6 coax cable connectors that connect these to anchor them to a wall. It's a 1-hole strap. They're bent over. see that. Basically, this is to keep the ground wire nice and tight to the wall so the other trays don't hit it. I'm going to pick 2 bricks, and I'm going to drill a hole just offset of the copper wire. Looking at it, making sure it's straight. I'm going to put one here. Alright, wait, this is still the 1/4 inch bit. I'll put one up here. Alright, I'll take 2 more plastic anchors, put it in the hole. Take your screwdriver, drop them in. Take your 1-hole strap, go over top of that. Get your screw set. Run these in with a number 2. Alright, get your other single hole strap. Get that started. Run that one in. Take your Arlington decorative cover, place it on there so the hole lines up. You snug that up. You won't have to go back into this anymore. This is for the other utilities to do their bonding connections, such as gas company, CATV cable, telephone, alarm company, sprinkler systems company. Anybody that needs to do a grounding to this structure has to ground to this block. Years ago, they would put a pigtail off of this with a clamp, and they would run their ground off of it, and you'd see 3 or 4 different utilities hooked up to this and a cluster of wire. This is more of a permanent bond, nice and tight and secure, positive ground, less issues, and this is what the code requires now. There's different versions of this. This is just an Arlington product, and it's what I prefer. But just wanted to give you all a little update to grounding and bonding. And this is a residential service. I hope this video was helpful to you all in the electrical community, and if you're a private homeowner, check your rules and regulations on wiring houses yourself. I wish you all a wonderful and blessed day.